everyone, and welcome back to the Hormuz Freedom Campaign for the AV-8B Harrier in DCS World, where we're now on to Mission 9, Convoy Strike. So this mission is a daytime mission. We are tasked with, as the name suggests, taking out a convoy. A large supply convoy has been spotted heading down a major highway towards the coastline. And so we are there to try and take it out. We don't know too much about this, just that it is there. There's probable SAM presence in the area, so we are armed with sidearms to help us with that. To take out the actual convoy, we have laser mavericks, we have IR mavericks, and 4 dumbfire iron bombs that we can drop. And this turned out to be a really fun mission, so let's jump into it. So finding the targets was quite easy. They were between our waypoints 2 and 3, so I just slewed the pod to waypoint 2, started moving up along the highway, and I could just make out some little black objects on the highway. When I flipped over onto IR mode, I could then see the convoy very clearly. I can see a shilker leading the way down the convoy, but then right behind it is what appears to be a SAM type truck, followed by another, which is a little bit more concerning, a little bit of a higher priority threat there. Now, well out of range, so continue to close in here. I get this voice spike.
Uzi 1-1, mud spike 12 o'clock. Looks like the Chinese mobile SAM. 2-1 orbit here.
So I do give my wingman the order there to start circling and just stay back out of the way while I try and deal with these targets. Since I do have visual ID on the SAM sites, I decide to have a go with a Maverick, an IR Maverick, to hit them.
Uzi 1-1, gonna shove a sidearm down his throat.
Now the mission there does prompt me to use a sidearm, but I've already sort of committed to trying to use my Maverick here. It does take a little bit to get the actual Maverick Seeker to lock the target that I want. It's still at really quite high range here, but do mess around with it for a little bit and eventually do manage to get it to lock on to at least what I think is the correct target. And immediately turn evasive and get out of there before they can fire back at me. Now, it doesn't take long for the Maverick to hit. I fired from relatively short range there, but can see there it decided to go for an APC instead, and so did some splash damage, but clearly either I locked the wrong thing or it got confused. Soon after launch there were a lot of vehicles in the area. So I arm my sidearm, my anti-radiation missile, and turn back in. Now, the first pass here I have made a mistake where I've not actually turned on the Sidewinder or the sidearm seeker tones, so I can't tell whether or not this is getting a signal, and so just end up pulling away. And unfortunately, as I'm pulling away, I don't actually know the RWR sounds well enough, and I thought I was just being locked, but it turns out that there was a missile on me. Thankfully, I turn around and spot that, and then start dumping out a whole bunch of flares and chaff. I'm not sure if this is a IR SAM or a radar SAM, but spewing out everything, trying to run away. And do manage to get away here without taking damage. Did cut it a little bit close there. I got way too close and only did that because the Sidewinder, I had forgotten to arm it. But anyway, then I do turn around. I do have the working sidearm now, so get it selected, do hear the tone, and so fire one off. then immediately turn away. There is another missile that is fired out at me, so I start dumping chaff again. But then, before very long...
That's a hit. That's a hit. The radar is off. Uzi flight, get ready.
So there we go, the SAM is down. There are still plenty of shilkers there I saw, but at least that's the major threat now destroyed.
Focus, Uzi. 30 plus vehicles. HQ-7AA, CSU AA, APCs and trucks. Do you have any assets in the area? We don't have enough ordnance for this.
While we wait for focus, I do order my wingman in to engage air defences, and he does manage to get some hits.
Uzi, focus. I have a flight of F-18s loaded with ground ordnance. ETA to bullseye 10 minutes. You are the package leader. Dodge. Light will contact you when they get close.
Focus, Uzi. Roger. Uzi flight. Let's slow them down. Wait for my instructions. 2.
So while 2's engaging, I give myself a little bit of distance here and start to paint a new target. I decide on this shulker here is going to be what my laser maverick is going after. Now my first attempt here at doing the laser pass, the laser doesn't seem to track. I really don't know why this is, something must have gone wrong, but while I'm working it out we do get contacted by the F-18 flight.
Uzi Dodge, I have you in sight. What do you have for us?
Dodge, Uzi. Type 3 in effect. IP is N26, 5635, E54. 59.5. Heading 335. Distance 15 miles. Target is CSU AA, APC, trucks. No marks. No friendlies. Egress south.
Now for some reason that pair of voice stabs repeats there. I'll just skip that for all of you. But then I do just order Dodge to engage whenever they're in the area.
Uzi, weapons hot. Clear to engage.
But after giving myself a little bit more space, I re-slew the targeting pod. It's gotten a little confused in my manoeuvres and has ever so slightly lost the target, but start lasing again, and this time I do manage to get the laser to find the reflection quite easily, and so fire one off, and then again go evasive. I do take a much more gentle evasive turn here, usually because I don't want to mess up the targeting pod. It's a little bit more sensitive on the Harrier than the A10C. It doesn't like pulling too hard, otherwise it does have a tendency of losing the sight. But all I really need to do is keep some change in my velocity vector so that any shulker that does open up won't hit me, and generally I'm just trying to give a little bit of space so that I don't get into the situation where they open up in the first place. And sure enough, eventually the missile hits home. Now, I am out of my standoff weapons at this point. I am assuming that Dodge Flight do have standoff weapons. Normally F-18s have Mavericks and or laser-guided bombs. So I decide to hold my distance and let them engage. The AI is pretty good about focusing on any air defences that are left. So I just orbit at a distance and watch them hit, and they do a very good job getting some direct hits here. Now I do have 4 of the dumbfire iron bombs. I believe these are 500 pounders. And the Harrier does have CCIP. It does have CCRP, but I don't trust CCRP enough without some kind of additional guidance, like a GPS or laser guided. I prefer doing CCIP deliveries. So go in for that attack here, and head in. At this point the enemy is really just down to trucks and other light vehicles, so I'm not really prioritising much. I just want to drop near these clusters of vehicles, and so drop the first here, and then shortly after drop the second. first one there is a clean hit. It seemed to be a second one of the mobile SAM radars. I don't know why that didn't function for the other SAMs, but I'm not complaining because otherwise I would definitely have been shot down. Either way, tidy that one up. The other bomb I drop is a near miss. It kind of lands between 3 vehicles, doesn't really kill any of them. Then once again use the targeting pod to scan what's left of the convoy line to identify things that are still alive rather than things that are dead and just stopped burning, and pick out a truck target here. While I'm heading in, the F-18s are now down to cluster bombs, but they are still getting reasonable hits in. And I just pass overhead and drop a bomb on this poor truck, and one on a second truck just after it. And there, get a pair of direct hits, 1 truck and 1 Land Rover destroyed. Now at this point I am just down to my Sidewinder, which is really no good at this point, and the gun cannons. I do make 1 failed pass on a truck. I don't hold the trigger down long enough. I'm used to other modules, and so I don't actually fire anything. Fire off a few rounds as a test afterwards. But then here, as I am going in for my guns run, and can see other planes are also going in for guns themselves, we get interrupted by a call.
Uzi, focus, contact, slow moving, helicopters. Bullseye, 33 miles, 341. I keep losing them in the ground clutter. Uzi, focus, contact is declared hostile, weapons free.
Now, while waiting for that to actually appear, I do go in for a gun pass here on this truck. Do come in a little bit too steep here, this is quite risky, but do manage to get some hits and enough to critically damage this truck. And while I'm trying to work out where these airborne targets are, contacting the Magic here to see if he has any idea, but he doesn't. I happen to look out at just the right time to catch the 3 helicopters here glinting in the sun. So here we have a little 3 ship of hips, which have been declared hostile, and so something different to go after here. So I turn in direct towards them, go to the Sidewinder mode, which auto-arms the Sidewinder. I only have 1 of these. I do get lock very early on, but don't want to fire because hips and helicopters in general can normally put out a huge amount of flares, and so if I fire at this range they're just going to dodge it, so I wait until I am really, really close, and then finally get ready and fire 1 off. Now, as expected, the hit does flare, but I still do get a hit. Unfortunately, this is not a kill shot. Hips are pretty well armoured. I think this exploded just a little way off of it, and this hip does actually manage to limp back to base. But still, that means that's an effective mission kill there. It is not going to be delivering whatever it was delivering, so I'll chalk that up as a win.
Uzi, dodge, focus, Miller time, tanker available, Texaco, pocket 50X, good show.
So there we get the call that we can turn back now if we want to. I decide that I want to keep going after these remaining 2 helicopters while I still have bullets, so I linger in the area. And can see there, in that pass, I do manage to, just with the last bullet, clip off its rear rotor, and so that helicopter is now going down. So then I turn around, come back in, spot the remaining helicopter in the area. I go in lining up for a guns pass, but just as I'm getting close, my wingman calls out Fox 2. So then I go evasive, trying to get away. Partly I just don't want to waste ammo if the wingman's going to get the kill, and partly because I don't want to be too near the helicopter when that Fox 2 goes off, especially since I am kind of a bigger heat source than he is. But unfortunately for the wingman, the flares do attract the Fox 2 and the missile detonates a safe distance away. So after recovering, coming back around, I go in. Been having some issues with the guns, so give it a quick test fire as I'm heading in, and then pull a full burst. and then get an absolutely beautiful flame. There is no way that helicopter is going to return to base, and so happy with 2 splashes, I then head out. So then it was just a case of RTBing. The convoy was destroyed. All in all, we took out a total of 24 vehicles. For my contribution to that, I got a APC, 2 of the HQ-7 self-propelled SAM sites, a Shilka, and 4 trucks. And then on top of that, I got that pair of MI8s towards the end. I didn't get the third one. The third one did manage to limp back home, but at least he didn't make his delivery. So yeah, that was a really, really fun mission. Really enjoyed that. Definitely the highlight of the campaign so far. Really enjoy this. Really puts me back in the kind of mental space of the enemy within campaign, which was absolutely fantastic. Really had a lot of fun there. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed that. If you did, do consider giving a like and or subscribe. Really does help the channel. And otherwise, I hope to catch you in the next one. Until then, remember to be kind to yourselves and everyone else. Cheers.